So I want to talk about growing versus scaling, risk, and diversification. And so this is the talk, right? If you have a business, how do you grow? How do you scale? How do you diversify? Growing a business means expanding by adding resources like hiring more staff, buying more equipment, opening new locations, or increasing marketing. As you invest more money and resources, your business grows at the similar rate. And so you're like, okay, yes, I know. So then what do I invest in? Well, when Jeff Bezos was asked, what are the things that are going to change in the next 10 years? Jeff Bezos said, how come they don't ask me what's not going to change in the next 10 years? That question is more important than what is going to change. Because the reality is that even though Jeff Bezos is very successful, he doesn't know the future. And Jeff Bezos says, it's impossible for me to imagine a world where Amazon customers don't want low prices and fast shipping. And in his business, these are the things that are not going to change. And why is this important? Because when you know what's not going to change, you can invest your time, your energy, and your resources into those very things. So how do you do that, though? You have to know your business. You have to know what your market, what your customers want, so that you can maximize that potential. You have to know what your competitors are doing. I remember having a grower in Mexico that I import avocados. I have a grower in Mexico, and he used to tell me, I don't care what anybody else is doing in the industry. All I care about is what my company is doing. I buy the fruit at the best price, I pack it, I pack the best quality, and I ship it. Well, he's not in business anymore. You have to know what your industry is doing. In the book, The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump, this is not a political illustration, so in case that rubs you the wrong way. But in the book, The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump mentions that he knew his industry so well, the real estate industry, the development industry, is that he got to the point where he could no longer buy buildings, renovate them, slap his name on them, and sell the condos. So what he started doing is he started partnering with people that own buildings, that knew nothing about renovation, that knew nothing about marketing, and creating a partnership with them while keeping his cash flow and not depleting all his resources. And he was able to make money, be successful in a very difficult time. And that's going to be the same for me and you. If you're going to want to grow, you're going to have to understand your industry. In the 20 years of being in the produce industry, I've had to become a produce broker, become a produce importer, then back to a produce broker, because different times requires you to do different things. The other thing you're going to need to do if you want to grow is you're going to have to focus on what you control. As in business, or in business, as in other areas of life, there are things you can control, things you can influence, and things you just can't control. So you have to focus on what you can control. And as business owners, we can always control the quality of our product, our facility, our service, and our team. Investing in your team is going to be extremely important and profitable long term. Are you making your team more valuable? Are you cross-training on your downtime? We learned this in the restaurant industry, especially if you're a part of the family. At 12 o'clock, you're on the register. At 12:30, when the ticket line of orders are packed out on the window, you're in the kitchen making plates. And then afterwards, you're having a meeting with servers. But they trained us to be able to cross-train in different areas so we were more effective, we were more valuable. In the Harvard Business Review article, How Winning Organizations Last for Over 100 Years, they say is that they don't focus so much on making profit. They focus on creating, training, and inspiring the next generation of their companies. And it's really interesting. In my produce company, I'm probably, I want to say I'm very involved, very little, but I'm probably not involved hardly in the operations. But the three managers that I have, the three top managers that I have in that company, they all started by being part-time in our shipping department. And they were able to move up to be able to dominate, take over, and kick me out. But we did cross-train. We did invest into them. We did teach them how to run different areas. There's never a downtime with us. The other day, I'm talking to my brother-in-law, Mark, and we're talking, and, we've been in the produce business 20 years, and it's like, you can get a little tired of some of the craziness. And it's like a good team member can someday outperform the founder. And while that sound bad to the founder, doesn't make them look good, but the reality is it makes us feel great because we don't have to push so hard to be as productive. So you got to invest and compensate. The second thing is scaling. Scaling is when you can increase sales without increasing expenses. This means the business can handle more volume, more customers, without increasing cost. And so if you're a business owner, that sounds super attractive. So how do you do that? I believe it's a combination of highly productive team members and highly efficient systems and processes. This goes beyond just having the best programs and softwares. These are things that the founders, the owners, they're putting into their companies. They're looking at the way that their companies run, and they're figuring out a better process, a better system. There's times that I go into the office and I'm like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do this here again? Oh, we do it like this, we do it like that. Okay, do we really need to do it like that? Can we make it better? In the book Good to Great, Jim Collins says, those who build great organizations make sure they have the right people on the bus, the right people in key seats, before they figure out where they're driving the bus. In other words, first who and then what. One of the most common questions or comments that people tell me when they want to grow their business is, how do I add another location? How do I double my business? And the first thing that I think when they ask me that is, well, how's your process? How are your systems? Are they good enough for you to replicate? And processes and systems are going to make the difference. In the book, The Compound Effect by Dale Hardy, he uses an illustration about the NFL. And we just started football season. And a few games ago, we thought the Dallas Cowboys were going to go. Next year. Now we're having doubts. But you start off with 32 NFL teams. Everybody has the same goal. Everybody wants to win the Super Bowl. But the reality is that only one team wins. Why? It's the person that has, or the team rather, that has the best system and process to reach their goals. So that's going to make a big difference. If you want to scale your business, you're going to have to understand the correct or the real state of your business. Sometimes people think scaling and they're always thinking up, bigger, more. But sometimes you need to scale back. Sometimes being content with what you have, understanding what you have, stepping back, looking at things, gives you the opportunity to be creative, to be innovative. You know that I would have never gotten into the real estate industry if I wouldn't have stepped back. Our company started by selling 10 loads of produce a month. And we pushed that all the way to 100. And so there's a lot of other things that happens when you're trying to scale too big. There's risk. You can't talk about growing and scaling your business without talking about risk. There's limits to growing and scaling your business. Too much, too fast, too soon can be too bad. And so when we talk about risk in your business, risk is what's left over after you thought about everything that could happen. And so if you're not preparing for something that can't happen, then you're really not prepared at all. Starbucks in 2008 had to close hundreds of stores, lay off thousands of employees. Their stock price falls over 70%, and this is what the CEO says. When undisciplined growth becomes your strategy, you will lose your way. A business that gets revenue too quick is like a boy who gets money too fast. He can't hold it. So becoming bigger isn't always the best thing. Becoming bigger sometimes makes you more vulnerable. Like I talked about, we pushed our company, right? We're selling 100 loads. Our shipping department is working 24 hours a day. We're in 3 facilities. My brother at the time, he's running my shipping department, and I'm looking at him in the cameras at 3 in the morning. It's crazy. I didn't know how to say no to opportunity. And within years, I'm burned out. Only my wife knows how many times I come home and say, I want to quit the produce industry. It's crazy. But something happens when you grow too fast. You double your risk. And a lot of people want to use debt. I mean, we're talking about financing, special loans. There's all these resources. I've used loans and banks to grow. But when you don't have the right perspective of debt or how these tools can help you, and you want to use too much debt to grow too fast, your risks double. I remember in 2022, I had everything going right for me. Our produce company was doing well. We were renovating vacation homes at the island. We had industrial real estate. We got into the real estate business by doing notes receivables. And I remember I'm going at it. And if I just looked at my business life, it was great. I was making money. But if you looked at my relationship with my wife, you looked at my relationship with my kids, you looked at my relationship with God, all that was a little questionable. And that's what happens when you try to grow your business too fast. There's these other areas of your life that are at risk. You know, I'm coming around the corner in 2022, and I'm doing what I always do during Christmas, which is take some time off, enjoy my family. And I end up starting to get sick. I end up in the hospital. And this is the beginning of my craziness of going down a rabbit hole. I end up dealing with a severe bout with anxiety. And at the time, it was like, I'm only 39 years old. You know, I shouldn't get sick. But the reality is that's what happens when we allow too much risk in our lives. Risk will blindside you. And so thank God I was able to come out of that. But the reality is that today, for me, real growth comes with taking care of the main areas of life. God, family, health. Okay, those things are covered. We can grow. I know you're looking at me and you're like, you need to work on your health a little bit, right? But you should have seen me about a year ago. And so how do we handle risk? We can't get away from it as business owners. Like I said, we have to prepare for it. Take time to think, plan, organize. At some point, something's going to happen. So invest into preparation. Like I mentioned, the reason that we have multiple businesses is because we wanted to be able to be okay if something happened to our first business. And when I got sick, the one thing that I didn't have to worry about was money. Because thank God I had prepared in a way where in case something would happen, the money part was taken care of. So in finance or in business, the best way to prepare for risk is saving, limiting amounts of debt, and being patient. And I think being patient is probably the hardest thing. Because nobody wants to wait to see what's going to happen. Everybody wants what they want now. Patrick Bet-David, the founder of Valuetainment, loves to use the quote, "Only the paranoid survive." And what he means by that is that if you stop becoming concerned about your organization, about your company, then you're setting yourself up for more risk. There was an economist at the University of Washington in St. Louis. They came up with the financial instability hypothesis. And it says, when the economy is stable, people get optimistic. When people get optimistic, they acquire debt. When they acquire unhealthy amounts of debt, the economy becomes unstable. Therefore, the lack of a recession plants the seeds for another recession. So our human nature is to relax when times are good, and then tough times follow after that. There was an article from LendingTree that came out this April that said 25% of businesses fail in their first year. And I'm like, that statistic I've heard before. Your first year is always your hardest, or your first couple of years are always your hardest. But what went on in this article is that the percentage of risk that a business owners have of going out of business actually goes up every year for the next 10 years. And usually you think you've been in business 10 years, that you've already cleared it. But your percentage in your 10th year is higher than your first year. Your percentage in your 10th year is almost 70%. And I thought about that. How is this possible for you to be in business for 10 years and your highest risk be 10 years later? Well, we become comfortable. We begin to say, I'm already making money. Everything's okay. We stop going to work. And my manager's looking at me right now, funny. I wouldn't say that paranoia is the answer. I would say it's important to be concerned, but ultimately we do have to trust God. I have guys call me all the time. Hey, bro, did you see the peso? Hey, bro, did you see the news? Sending me articles at 5 in the morning. I don't see them till later. But they're always worried. Colossians 1:16 says, for in him all things were created. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And that's my prayer. Yes, I want to be concerned, but at the end of the day, all I can do is plan, prepare, organize, and then we have to trust in God. So the last thing is diversification. A lot of people like to hear these terms, but I believe that diversification is not only important for business, but it's important for your personal life also. Diversification in business means offering different products or services or entering new markets to reduce risk and increase growth opportunities. It provides stability during uncertain times. So what you have to do is you have to add more products to your business around what you already understand, around your expertise, so that you can diversify. You know, we started by selling produce, but then we went from selling produce to doing warehouse service, to doing truck parking, to doing warehouse rental, and then we ended up buying industrial property to lease out. But we had to figure out a way, how were we going to reduce our risk? How were we going to diversify? We also should be diversifying at home with business owners. Diversification in personal finance means spreading your money across different investments to reduce risk. This increases potential returns. And so what this also does is not only give you that potential return, but it reduces your management time on your other investments. We have business and investments that need our attention. People are calling, they need something. We have to work with them. And then we have other things that we don't even worry about. We don't think about. And so as you grow as a business owner, you should diversify into some of these things that don't take all your time, all your effort, all your energy. And so I believe that if you're going to diversify, though, in any area, even in business or in your personal life, you're going to have to get an advisor. You're going to have to get people to give you direction on what you're doing. I remember when I first started, I wanted to be a business owner. I was working for another company as a director for a produce company. But I wanted to be a business owner, so I was like, I'm going to do something. And our family's been in the restaurant business forever, and one of my uncles said, hey, there's a restaurant that maybe, if you want to take it over. And so I said, yeah, let's go for it. Man, within 3 months, I ran out of that place. Restaurant business is hard. But I diversified. I wanted to diversify, but I didn't ask anybody for advice. I didn't ask anybody to help me. I didn't get an advisor. So if you're going to want to diversify personally or through your business, you should get an advisor. I believe that as business owners, we have the responsibility to grow and diversify. We should be putting ourselves in those positions where we're going to be more effective and we're going to be able to have a better future and time to invest into the other areas of our lives that are important. And for me, those areas are my kids, my wife, my church. And so I just want to encourage you today. Grow, scale, and diversify. Thank you.